Okay, honestly, I didn't see this laptop coming. And for the last few years, MacBooks have had an early mover advantage, and I believe that's ending this year. This is Asus new Zenbook S14 OLED, and more importantly, this comes with Intel's new Core Ultra CPU Series 2, and this is something else. Like, in case you don't know, Snapdragon has finally jumped into Windows laptop. MacBooks are getting more affordable. The competition is heating up. So while I wasn't expecting this strong comeback from Intel, but I think Intel is back. Now, before we get to the performance of this laptop, or is this laptop paisa vasool, the Asus Zenbook has some good design elements. The laptop comes in this 14-inch form factor, and inside the box you get a bunch of stuff, but you get this good leather case. Like, I've been carrying the laptop in my bag with this case, and it feels like the world is noticing me, like this classy dude in college. There are people stumbling over looking at my laptop. I mean none of that. But the laptop is all metal built. You get these tiny holes on the top for air intake. Looks very industrial, and this is interesting. You get a ceraluminum lid. Now, as per Asus, this is a mixture of aluminum and ceramic, and I was reading about it. The finish gives a sense of pottery. Yes, you heard that. But I know, just like me, you are like, what about in real life? Well, in real life, it's much more resistant to scratches, color chipping off compared to normal aluminum. Now, this thing is shockingly slim at 1.1 centimeters. That's slimmer than a MacBook Air. In fact, weighs in just 1.2 kgs, again lighter than a MacBook Air. Also, fitting 2 Thunderbolt Type-C port, 1 full-size HDMI 2.1 headphone jack, 1 USB-A 3.2 Gen 2 port. I mean, you can fit all ports inside a laptop and make it slim. Unlike some company, you know. Also, this comes with 3K 120Hz Asus Lumina OLED display. Now, this is a 16:10 aspect ratio, and the bezels are very narrow. So if you stack up two windows side by side, it shows up properly. Also, the display is a touch screen, so you can touch it with permission. It has stylus support, but I couldn't find the stylus in the box, so maybe you have to buy it separately. Also, the display doesn't go 180 degrees, so if you dock it up on a stand, it's awkward to touch it. The only time I use the touch display is when I was showing Shobik something on the display. It's convenient to use the touch. By the way, the display supports HDR, and it can go up to 500 nits of peak brightness, which is more than enough if you're watching movies indoors. But in those times when I was sitting near a bright window, the display gets slightly reflective. Now, the display is 100% DCI P3. In simple words, you can consider DCI P3 as a color box like this, and you can consider these colors on display like a painting. So if the display is 20% DCI P3, I have a lot less colors to choose to draw my paintings. In 100% DCI P3, there's a lot more color, and my painting will look more colorful. Usually this bothers you if you do graphic work, Photoshop, and I did a bit of thumbnails and the color accuracy wasn't a problem. But enough of this. Why is this laptop such a big deal? Well, this comes with Intel's Lunar Lake CPU. In simple words, Intel has changed CPU naming schemes, and this is Series 2 of the new Core Ultra CPUs. Plus, this is the first time Intel has not made the CPU. This CPU is made by TSMC. It is the same company who manufactures the processors in Androids or iPhones. So this is the new Intel Core Ultra 7 258V with 4 performance cores and 4 efficiency cores. Now, there are 3 interesting things about this particular laptop processor. Number 1, Intel for the first time has built the RAM on the chip. So if you open the lid, the RAM is integrated. You cannot see or upgrade it. You can replace the existing 1TB PCI Gen 4 SSD to up to 2TB. Now, without being too technical, this RAM type is different than last time. This onboard RAM leads to a lot less energy wastage and saves battery life. That's the focus. Even the major performance tuning is done on efficiency cores, which leads to better background task performance like download, streaming music, browsing, etc. and better battery life in general. Now, the Core Ultra 258V scores good in Geekbench. In fact, it beats the MacBook Air M2 in scores. Even the Cinebench R23 scores are pretty good. The multi-core score is a little bit less, but then this Core Ultra 7 has lesser cores than previous generation. Also, there's no multi-threading, there is no hyper-threading and all of that. And number 2, an even bigger deal, this comes with 60% better Intel Arc GPU. So in benchmarks like 3D Mark, it scores around 4300, 4400, and even in games like Cyberpunk and 1080p, you get around 50 to 54 FPS. In Forza, again, you get about 40-45ish FPS, and mind you, this is integrated GPU. The Zenbook S14 has 2 fans, and even if I do the heaviest of gaming or in benchmark, this is what the fan sounds like to me. You put up a earphone, there's hardly any fan noise. Number 3, the major focus with this Asus laptop is AI. This processor has 6 NPU cores that can do up to 47 TOPS. In simple words, when you do AI tasks like suppose reframing a video in Premiere Pro, this laptop will be able to do it faster. Certain tasks like background removal will be faster. Also, this qualifies as Copilot plus PC. So you get features like background blur in video calls, eye contact in video calls. Even if you're watching an English movie locally, it captions them in real time. All of this uses the on-device NPU, which is much more efficient. And all of this efficiency leads to better battery life. This laptop claims to have 27 hours of battery life, which is just a crazy big number. But this again is claimed battery life. So we put the MacBook Air M2 to 100%, took both the laptops, played an online YouTube 4K video to see which laptop drains the most battery. So after running this 4K video continuously for 2 hours, the Asus laptop is on 90%, whereas the MacBook is on 85%. And we extend this data to 0%. Depending on the battery size of both the laptops, MacBook Air M2 will last about 13.3 hours, whereas the Asus Zenbook will last for 20 hours. Now again, we cannot run this test for the entire time, but as per this limited data set, Asus Zenbook is definitely superior. Now the Asus Zenbook S14 comes with a 65 watt Type-C charger, but you can charge it via any other Type-C charger. There's also Asus StoryCube app. So basically I can link any drive or folder and it filters out photo based on people's faces. So suppose if I need to search Mrinal's photo or video, I just label this face as Mrinal and I can easily search all photos and videos of Mrinal on my laptop. Now the typing experience of this is pretty good. There's an auto brightness sensor, so as soon as the light goes out, the display gets dim, the keyboard backlight automatically glows up, the trackpad is glass, large enough and works with all the gestures. Now there are some smart gestures, like you can swipe on the right edge to increase or decrease brightness, you can swipe on the left to increase or decrease volume, but in my usage, I was never able to hit the spot correctly, and anyways with the auto brightness sensor, I wasn't using the brightness slider anymore. Also, the audio on this SIM laptop for the size is pretty good. It comes with a 4-speaker setup. Overall, see, here's how I see this laptop. When Apple launched MacBook with M1 in 2021, they have a first mover advantage. Every company with new tech gets it, but now everyone is catching up. Like, this is a proper Windows alternative to MacBook. Now, the thing is, it comes only in one variant, Core Ultra 7 at 16GB RAM, which starts at 1.42 lakh. Since you have to choose the RAM when you buy it, the 32GB variant costs 1.49 lakh with 1TB storage. I wish there was a Core Ultra 5 variant, but for the price, this thing is premium. Let us know if you want us to do a laptop buying guide or just explain Intel CPU naming scheme. Like, I would love to do that. On that note, this is signing off. See you in the next video. Pew, pew, pew.